Hello everybody, David Risley here with Blog Marketing Academy, here for another monetization case study. And today we're going to be looking at a blog called the Caveman.com. This is from Vivica. It's a nutritional blog. It says, let the food do the healing. So we're going to look at a few things here. Now, she submitted this application to me for this case study a couple of months ago. So some of the data is out of date. At the time, she told me she was getting about 60,000 visitors a month. I don't know if she's probably getting more than that now, but I'm really not sure. She had about 2,200 people on the email list, which is pretty good, but she was only making about $300 a month. Very, very small, especially considering the assets that she had. Now, the news is, and I don't know all the details on this yet because I haven't yet heard from Vivica, at least when I recorded this video, but I know that she was working with a good friend of mine named Tony Teagarden on implementing a coaching back end into this blog, and apparently they've found some pretty decent success doing that. So I have a feeling her income is a heck of a lot higher than $300 now. I hear that she's actually booked up 2 or maybe 3 of her coaching classes in full. So that means she's done it 3 times now. So she's probably getting pretty good results. So I don't know all the details on that yet, but that's not what we're going to do in this video. I want to talk about the blog itself, because while my buddy Tony's really good at that coaching back in and implementing that high ticket stuff into the sales funnel, where I come in and my specialty is the blog itself, how well it's functioning as a marketing vehicle, and then setting up a sales funnel behind it. So that's what we're going to look at in this blog right now for Vivica with the Nourished Caveman. So the first thing that hits me here is the photography. I mean, it really jumps out at me, jumps off the screen. A lot of color photography and all of it having to do with food, which is great. Now, the thing that hits me about it is you don't want to be branded as a person who just does food and recipes, because that actually doesn't help you sell. It doesn't help you sell what you do, which is let the food do the healing. And I also know that Vivica here has this page that I'm sure was set up with Tony's help, that gets people onto they basically apply for this coaching program, and they get onto the phone with her and they take it from there. Now, so this is really the core of the business right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about having some front-end products in front of this, which I think would be a really good idea. But the thing is, if this is the transformation that you're in the business of delivering, I think that concentrating on recipes is not necessarily the right kind of targeting in your content. I look at recipes as it can be a traffic generator, because people do like to share them on Pinterest and things like that, but it doesn't mean it's going to get the right kind of person. So I'm not saying that we need to stop doing recipes by any means, but I do think that we need to begin having more content on here which is designed to attract the right kind of prospects. And I think it's going to be more along the lines of content which hits upon the problems that they're having and guides them through understanding why they're having that problem from a nutritional standpoint. So, I actually listen to some nutritional content. In fact, I listened to a guy, what's his name? Sean Stevenson with the Model Health Show. And one thing I like about this guy is that he takes the science and the data behind what's going on, and he's really good at boiling it down into plain English, into things that we relate to, because he's a real relatable dude and we relate to that. So therefore it automatically gives him that authority. And he also has history to have that authority. He's been working with clients for a very long time. Thing is, you, Vivica, look like you've got the exact same thing. I think I saw on one of your pages that, clinical practice of 4 years. I mean, you've definitely got some history here. So it can be the same kind of a thing where you break down a problem or some big thing which is on their mind, but you break it down into what is really going on from a science perspective, like bring the science to it, but you want to do it in a very relatable way. And I think by doing that, you're actually going to have people who come to this blog and they're going to be getting those aha moments. It's like they're going to go they're going to reach an enlightenment along the lines of what it is that you deliver. They're going to understand why this keto diet is important to them. And by the way, I'm an outsider here, but I'm going to say this. I'm not exactly sure what this ketogenic diet is. I've heard of the word keto, but the thing is, the only reason I bring that up is to make sure that you are not alienating people by giving them a word that they don't understand right from the get-go. So don't, maybe, I don't know where your traffic is coming from, but if they're all coming in, they're already totally like grooved in with this whole keto diet, then great. But if not, you definitely want to have a really clear, upfront, in-your-face explanation. Like, go to blogmarketingacademy.com and there's a page that says start here. It starts the transformation. It's right there in my top navigation. I think you would really benefit from having a page like that. Have like a getting started or a start here style of page that meets them where they're at and explains some basic terminology so that they're oriented. They need to be oriented to what you're doing. And that should be on the blog on a start here page, but it also should be in your autoresponder sequence so that when somebody gets on your list for the first time, they should be sent through maybe a 3 or 4 part email sequence that the whole purpose there is to indoctrinate them into what it is that you do and then give them some of your best stuff. But I don't think that best stuff should be in the world of recipes. Recipes are good for traffic potentially, and it can also be good for your repeat visitors who want more recipes. But I think, like your feature post here, pecan almond shortbread cookies, great. Nothing about that is going to attract your prospect of somebody who is trying to solve a problem and would ultimately hire you to help them solve it. So look at what you're doing with your content. Maybe you need to calm down on the recipes a little bit and put in some marketing content, some content that will educate and be extremely valuable and really lay it on them. But you need to have a strategic reason for that content to exist. And the strategic reason should be to get them into the top of a sales funnel, ultimately to lead into your coaching. And what I'm seeing with a lot of your content right now is that it's not doing that. Let's click on this recipe. Let's see. Keto treats and insulin. So there might be a little bit of education here. So what would happen for sure is a sweet tasting treat will help you. Yeah, you barely even touched on it. See, to me, it seems like, well, maybe this post that you're linking to has got some data, but it's just in terms of attracting people who might actually sign up and get into your sales funnel, I'm not sure is going to do it. This is primarily a recipe play. You need to see that for what it is from a content marketing perspective. I don't think this is a good long-range marketing plan. In terms of the structure of your blog post itself, since we're on this page, your headline should be a bigger text, should probably be darker, like make it like an actual black rather than a gray. Don't say by the Nourished Caveman because it's kind of obvious. So probably just remove that altogether. It doesn't really matter who wrote it. I would imagine this is a single author blog, so that's fine. This image is showing up twice, and it's very tall. And I don't know why you're doing that. It seems like it's kind of redundant. So there's a lot of vertical scrolling in place here, which isn't a horrible thing, but why make them do it twice? Okay, go down. There's a recipe. Is that the same? It's a lot of duplicate imagery going on here. This one, I assume you're putting there for Pinterest purposes. I think one image would be fine for that. I mean, all these images basically have the same thing, so I don't think we need to be so redundant about it. And then, let's see. Okay. There was another post that I think I saw. Well, we'll get to that. I want to talk about the blog layout a little bit more. We've talked about the content strategy a little bit, and I started off by saying that these photos really stood out to me, and they do because your blog is very black and white right now. So these colored photos stand out. The problem that I see is only that I feel like this area, which is your central branding, is really understated right now because it just doesn't hold a candle to all the photography that you've got on this page. If I just arrived at this page and I didn't happen to notice this, I would probably notice this, maybe notice you. I would probably think that you're a cook and not necessarily a person who delivers healing through food. So short story, what I would do is I would take this thing here, the Nourished Caveman, and I would give it a logo. And it can be a text-only logo, but a logo that has some color. A logo that stands out, that doesn't just blend into the scenery like this. The other thing that I would do would be to take this top menu and do two things with it. One, I would put it not on white like this. I would give it a colored background, maybe even full width. So you got it's going to go all the way across like this to give the site some dimension. But the thing is, then you make it very obvious you've actually got a navigation menu there. This navigation menu right now is very understated. It's very small text. It doesn't stand out. Now, the second thing that I would do with your top navigation is that I would reorganize it because I think you got too many things on it. You've got it wrapping on two lines because you got so many things in it. So your navigation needs to be simplified. I don't think you should have any more than maybe 4 to 5 items max in it. And that's it. It's just because you don't want to give them too many things to have to do. The healing foods method, I know that's your main monetization right now, so that should probably stay exactly where it is. Press you could probably get rid of. I don't think it's really that needed. I think that you could have one thing that says guides or something like that and link to some of your guides in here. Your guides that I saw, like this one here, this FAQ, is some of your best content. It's actually so much more valuable than your recipes. But name it something that will get their attention. And then the other thing is a start here. I think you really need to have a very clear start here on your navigation, and it's going to orient them into what you're all about. Answer that question. What is the healing foods method? What is that thing? Just orient them, give them a basic indoctrination as to what it is that you're all about so that they don't jump to the conclusion of thinking that you're just a cook with a theme, because that's not going to make you any money. Let's look at your sidebar. Your sidebar, I like the photo. It definitely stands out. And I think that you should speak in this text right here. I think you should speak a little bit more closely to the transformation that you're in the business of delivering. So, welcome to my blog. I'm the creator of that. Let the right foods delight you, nourish you, and make you healthy. Okay, not bad. I think you might be able to get a little bit more specific with that description in terms of solving their specific health problems, because those health problems are what is probably going to make people, I would assume, sign up with your coaching program. There's no need to welcome them to your blog. I think you should just be very to the point, your basic transformation that you deliver. And also bring in this thing that we saw here about 4 years of clinical experience and that type of stuff. Bring that in as an authority thing right here. And then, because you can't tell your story here, you need a link to the About page right here. So for more information or about, just put a link to the About page there. Now, most of the rest of your sidebar should go away. It should just literally disappear. This right here is not a way to build a list. It's just not, don't ask them to subscribe to your newsletter because it's useless. You need to have a real lead magnet here, and you don't have one right now. The only lead magnet I saw was this. This is a screenshot, but I got this as a pop-up when I arrived. But it still says, just join my newsletter and get new weekly recipes. Again, this is not a real lead magnet. You're giving this away, but it's again, not a real lead magnet. A real lead magnet is going to be very specific. It's going to guide them to a very specific outcome, and it's going to be something that they can consume pretty quickly. Because one of the main purposes that people tend to forget with lead magnets is that it's supposed to set up the person for a front-end sale in the sales funnel. Now, a 4-week thing doesn't set them up because they're going to go into waiting mode. They're going to go into, okay, well, great. I'm set up for 4 weeks of cool stuff. It doesn't give them any kind of an initial solution, and then that doesn't have a logical progression from that lead magnet into a front-end offer, because you're just giving away a bunch of meal plans. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of strategy behind that. So I would make this much more specific. And then the other problem, again, is that you don't have any lead magnet right here. So you obviously have some lead magnet in place. It might not be ideal, but even the one that you do have, you don't have right here. You're just saying subscribe to my newsletter, which is useless. So you need to set up a real opt-in and make it much bigger. I think you could probably put your picture underneath it. Put the opt-in at the top and put your picture underneath it. I know this is I think the only front-end product that I've seen, and it's the only listed in the sidebar. So it's not a bad thing to list in your sidebar. You could build it into other places like your autoresponder sequence and things like that. But everything else in your sidebar could probably go away because you've got a really long sidebar. Open letter to you. It's got no image. You can leave popular post in place possibly, but I would not. Don't use an algorithm to do this. Don't let this happen automatically. You need to hand pick your popular post, and you hand pick them based on the criteria that those posts they bring forward your absolute best stuff. And best stuff which is designed to market to them, designed to set them up to take a further action, because this is content marketing, not just content. So you go hand pick those posts that should be displayed here. You can display them in the exact same way as this, but you should be picking them, not letting your plugin do the work for you, because each of these. So yeah, giveaway. This giveaway might not even be relevant anymore. I really don't know. But you need to be picking these things. This could, these icons you could probably put up here in your header or something rather than your sidebar. Categories, nobody really navigates this way. And I'd get rid of all these social things. I'd get rid of this too. This might be a really cool thing, but you need to get people into your funnel, not their funnel. So this is basically like having an ad, which is a big distraction. You've got a copyright notice of some kind sitting in your sidebar, which then means it's on every page of your site. So that's quite cluttery. And then again, nobody navigates by the use of archives. So I think everything in the sidebar can disappear with the exception of maybe this popular post thing. Possibly this, although I think this could be moved. Your list, obviously, and your bio. I think everything else could go away and just grossly simplify this sidebar. And by the way, that search, you can put that at the top. You got some space here. You could totally put that at the top. Okay. I want to scroll down. There we go. That's what I was looking for because I saw this box earlier. All right, so you've got a lot of content here. Some really good stuff here, by the way. You've got some infographic-looking things here that actually increase understanding. You should be making more of these types of things and less recipes, okay? Because this stuff is going to educate your target market, and they're actually pretty nice looking. I think that you should do more of this. Do these kind of things for blog posts, like real feature-style posts that really just jump on these topics and educate your audience. Now, but what I wanted to mention was your lead magnet. Let me look at this. Are you keto curious? Again, one thing. I think you might be, well, maybe not from this particular page because you've probably described it, but anywhere else, and I think I saw this same call to action box in some other places, they might not know what the word keto is. So you might be throwing them off, and no, they're not going to be curious. Their natural instinct is going to be to not do what you want them to do at this point. So are you keto curious? Learn more about the ketogenic diet. Yeah, again, this is not a lead magnet. You're saying learn more about this with lots of practical tips. Subscribe to the newsletter. You're going to get a weekly post. You're going to get occasional special offers. You're basically just you think this stuff is valuable because you're making it. From an outside perspective, though, they just want a specific thing. Make them a specific promise. Deliver that to them in the form of a real lead magnet that they're going to download from this opt-in form. So that's what you need to do. This actually is not a lead magnet. This is just a fancier version of that. And so I think you need to have a few lead magnets. So let me pull this image that anybody could see very easily at the Blog Marketing Academy. So it's the blog monetization model. Now we've got the blog as a hub, and this blog is a hub. Now the thing you want to do from your blog is you want to drive them into the most relevant call to action. Now what you've got right now is essentially a very weak call to action because you're saying get onto my newsletter list. That's not what you want to do. See in this chart how we drive them into a relevant lead magnet. So you want to have more than one of these things. These lead magnets are very specific and they're designed to attract people who are looking for a specific thing. So right off the top of my head, maybe you'll look at various health issues that your coaching clients sign up with you in order to get headway with. So you could have, don't say the 10 tips for something or anything like that. You want to make it so that you can almost brand it like you did with your healing foods method. The 3-part diet that you can implement to get rid of your IBS in the next week. I don't know, something like that. I just made up that off the top of my head. It probably sucks, but you get the spirit of it. It's very specific. They have a very specific thing they know they're going to get when they opt in for that. But you also know that if somebody opted in for that particular thing, they probably have IBS. So that's a specific lead magnet, which you can then send them to a very specific front-end offer for. Every lead magnet that you get is supposed to target a specific type of person with a specific problem so that it sets them up for a targeted front-end offer. Not necessarily the same front-end offer. Your front-end offer looks like it's just a bunch more recipes. But instead, you want to set them up for a targeted front-end offer that's specific to their situation. And then you set them up. In my funnel, I like to put them into a recurring membership program type of thing, but that's you don't have to do that if you don't want to jump down that road. You could just have some other type of a core offer in place if you want to put together a training course or something to that effect. And then your high-end offer, you've already got that in place. You've got the coaching program. What you're doing right now is going from blog and jumping all the way over here to the high-end offer, which can work. But at a certain point, you're going to start running out of leads from your list, especially if you're not generating leads quick enough because your opt-in invitations on your blog are weak. So you need to have a few different lead magnets out there, and you want to drive traffic to them from targeted content on the blog. So a content, and then you give them the most relevant lead magnet to that thing. And then, of course, you also would probably want to get into paid traffic from Facebook and the like in order to drive people directly into these lead magnets. Get them into your sales funnel from a targeted perspective. Not everybody has to go into the same thing, but reach them where they're at. Give them an immediate win with whatever problem they're experiencing in their own lives. You could probably splinter that right off of your high-ticket coaching. And then you're going to lead them through the sales funnel into your high-ticket coaching. So you're going to have people that maybe jump the gun and go right into your high end, but then you're going to have people that are going to progress their way there, and they're going to become buyers along the way. Okay. So again, just talking out loud here. We've touched on the content strategy a little bit. I've talked about some of the design aspects. Oh, I did want to hit on your footer a little bit. So, before I forget, this banner ad should not be there because you're probably making barely any money with that at all, and it's a distraction. You want them to get into your coaching program. So why? I mean, I'm being retargeted here for Vimeo Pro, but imagine what other people are being retargeted for on your blog that has nothing to do with you. So just get rid of it. Now, I also noticed on some of your recipe sites that you had a banner ad that did the same thing underneath the post. So same thing there. Just get rid of it because it's a distraction. I don't think that you need to have these columns there. I just don't think you need them. I think almost every single thing in this footer can totally disappear. And what you could probably do is just replace it with an opt-in offer, or just put in your standard legal links, like a link to your contact, but also a link to your terms of service, privacy policy, blah, blah, blah. But the footer you don't need to put a bunch of stuff in your footer. I think it'd be an opt-in invitation of some kind, maybe a link to a squeeze page, something like that. But all these things, again, almost all of them have recipes, and I just don't think it's branding you in the right way. And these are just total duplicate of what's in the sidebar. Okay, let's see if anything else pops out at me here. Keto Kitchen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think having some more photos in some of your good blog posts might help. Overall, I just think having some more how-to and more like dig into their problems and really make it real to them type of content is going to do you a lot better than recipes. Okay. And let me just touch on this front end offer here that you've got a little bit. This is the only one that I saw. And by the way, I like the look of this page a lot better in your blog because it's got more color on it. So you could carry some of these themes over into your blog. Nice photo as well. Are you carbohydrate intolerant? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So here's one thing that strikes me about this image. First of all, yeah, so let me just hit on this. It says 1 week meal plan. And the first thing that hits me there is that I remember that you just offered me 4 weeks of meal plan for free, just for getting on your newsletter list. So this automatically got downplayed in my mind when I saw that cover. But the other thing that hits me about it is that it doesn't seem like the text is really selling the benefits of this thing. Like, I don't know what I'm going to be getting here other than recipes. And I don't know how much this is selling, but I just don't know how big of a deal recipes are in terms of somebody buying it, because there's just so many of them out there for free. So it comes down to your positioning. I don't know if you want to position yourself as a person who does recipes. In this meal plan, see, yeah, you barely tapped on their problem here. You didn't really give any real background to it. You immediately jump into features, not benefits. I don't even know what a macro is. I know what it is in terms of computers, but I don't know what the heck you mean. So again, be careful of giving people words you don't understand. But again, all these 3 points, these are features, and even the bonuses are features. But you haven't really sold me on why I should care about all this stuff. This is the only real blurb I've got. This is primarily positioning, like trying to get me to answer yes to those things. But then you jump right into selling it to me. I just feel like this sales letter doesn't really hit it very well at all. The other thing that hit me about it was this. You've got 2 calls to actions at the bottom. The very fact that you're asking for a discount code here is going to confuse the hell out of people. Like, why are they going to buy this thing for $39 if they know there's a discount out there that they're not getting? And you've got 2 call to actions. So this is not a good setup. I would totally remove the discount code. If you really want to give people a discount code in your autoresponder or something like that, send them to a different page. Don't put them on this one, because then you're giving them more than one call to action, and that's just a recipe for them taking no action whatsoever. Okay, but I mean, we could get deeper into your copywriting here, but this sales letter could probably sell better. But again, I'm talking earlier about having multiple lead magnets that drive into a targeted front-end offer. I think in my ideal world, I would see you have a few different lead magnets all matched up to different front-end offers. You'd have a few of them. I think they would be priced less than $39, primarily to get them into impulse buy territory. You don't want them to have to think a heck of a lot about that. And it's not a money play. I mean, if your money is going to come in your high ticket coaching, I think the primary purpose of these low end offers is just to get people onto your list who are buyers. That's it. So I think $10 or less would be a good range there. So give them a targeted front end offer, not something like this that just seems like more meal plans, which you already give 4 weeks of it away for free by getting onto your list. And then you work them up the sales funnel a little bit, like a real sales funnel, not this, which is just seems like really vague and I doubt it sells a lot. Okay. And I haven't looked. I think you're using eJunkie. Right into PayPal. All right. Well, I'm not a big fan of eJunkie, but you don't need to switch that unless you feel like it. I mean, there are other ways we can go on that, but not a big deal. I think your biggest problem is the actual sales pitch for it. It's just not that strong. Okay, so anyway, that's the nourishedcaveman.com. I'm really happy to see that there is a high-end setup now with this blog, so it's being monetized from that perspective. I think there's a lot that could be done here from the content marketing perspective, the blog itself, and having an initial front-end sales funnel to help bring more buyers into the fold and lead up more gradually into the coaching. Because right now it's just phone call coaching. And I think that there's definitely, that works, but there's definitely room for a graduated sales funnel that leads up to that. And right now it's very underdeveloped. So that's the nourishedcaveman.com. There'll be some text on the blog post here to hit on some of the bullet points of this analysis, and we'll go from there.